Alright, let's see. Back on. Cool. No plan. Short stream. We'll see. It'll be fun anyway. Same stuff. But it seems to be somewhat interesting. So there's that. And for some of you, the American audience probably not be around, but the international audience, for the small number there may be, is fun. So we'll see. Let's go with some white colors. I am like Bob Ross in a sense, in that I feel like he has or had very loose ideas about what he wanted and then just kind of ran with it. I feel like I do the same thing. So that's pretty nice. You should try to take very small lessons from select people. The problem with most people that don't have an established personality or established thoughts, is that they become susceptible to taking an influential person's ideas and taking way too many of their ideas and basically running their entire life off of all of those ideas. What you should do is have your own ideas and maybe take snippets of influential people, try to fit them in. Now, this dude is in some trouble legally, but from an influential social media influencer standpoint, I don't necessarily think he got in trouble for what he said as a whole, but his audience being impressionable young audience got him a lot more attention and heat than his actual statements probably would have warned. If he was just talking to, let's say, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, he wouldn't have blown up in popularity as much as he did. But the youth are flexible in a bad way. People say this country with or without Trump, is headed towards anti-democratic tendencies. But that's only going to happen if they can capture the thoughts of the youth, which luckily they failed at doing. So I don't think that the extreme, I still think that's awesome. The extreme right wing will remain fringe. Right before I got on stream, I took a nap, which is basically my replacement for good sleep. Anyway, I had an interesting dream that I always tend to have, and it always involves me running. But I'm always running in like some natural environment, like almost like a cross-country thing. And I'm always running well. And then I always get lost. Oops. I always get lost and wake up. If anyone could tell me the significance of that, that would be cool. Let me just send out this text message. Maybe I can get my friend to join in viewership of my stream. That would be cool. A international viewer. International viewership makes YouTube very interesting. You can be a very small channel and still have a global audience, which is awesome. That's the coolest part of YouTube, without question. There's nothing cooler than that. Let's see. He said, maybe later. Busy now. One thing I don't understand, I was looking at certain copyright rules for what would be available for me to stream on YouTube. And I don't understand how so many people will go on stream and look up things on Wikipedia and have no problem with copyright. From what I understand, if we just say this, from what I understand, doing a little bit of reading, you can't necessarily use Wikipedia as a streaming element. I guess you can in small bits, but you can't rely on Wikipedia really at all. Like, I was considering doing like a research stream where you just go on Wikipedia and talk about stuff, but I don't want to risk a copyright strike over that when it's unnecessary. I think it would be fun though. Because I do a lot of internet searching. And I learn a lot that way. A lot of people that do internet searches don't actually do internet searches. They search or I should say, they stumble upon social media posts. That's not research. At least read an article. See, even though that's cut off, I could still say that's like art. So we'll go with that. We'll go with that and be happy with that. Because you do need some positivity, some let's change the font or the color. You do need some unseriousness. These streams are unserious. It's just free flowing. My videos are much more serious. Although I did notice that again, one of my easiest, one of my easy videos to make just like a thank you video has gotten so many views relative to others. And I just find that interesting. The shortest, easiest videos get the most views, but yet they provide the least amount of value. And I can't even say that's an American way, because my channel is obviously global. So it's just like a human nature. Yep. My friend is funny. Yep. See, it's unfortunate that distance plays such a big part in people's lives, because although the internet allows you to be global, our lives, our physical lives, are constrained by distance. See, the internet allows us to reach people from across the world, but at the end of the day, we're faced with the reality is we are stuck in a place and a time. Yeah. It's always good to have an outlet. Not everything can be so serious all the time. Serious leads to burnout. I always say my little baby nephew is a serious man, because he's always trying to do stuff. And then the other one, the older one, is a funny man. He's not serious, but he's interesting. It's always good to be interesting. If you're not interesting, you should really try to get to be, because it makes life worth living. When you're really trying to find a reason for life, in my experience anyway, being interesting is like the one guiding principle. Without that, I don't really see no point to life without interest. Some people are okay with it. I wouldn't be. If I tried to do the same dumb, repetitive thing over and over and over again, with no, what you would call ability to free roam in thought, I would probably have to be a different person entirely to exist. But I guess when you're a totally different person, you have many options for you. This is what I don't think. People do not change. They do not. I think they can temporarily adapt, but I don't think people change. I think whatever adaptations they make are purely temporary and subject to reversal. They're subject to quick reversal. That's funny. Yeah, we can do that again. Yeah. Good times. Good times. See, I'm on stream, but I'm also texting at the same time. And that could never happen making a video. Streaming allows much more freedom. I like it. Stream equals freedom. Commentator. Yeah. I am a commentator. I'm a commentator on life. See, I'm a commentator on life. Let's see. On life. That would be philosophy. They have all of these branches of philosophy, I think. They have these narrow these narrow these narrow bands which are derivative of larger bands and then ever larger bands, and then I forget exactly what it's called. Oh, you know what it's called? It's called the extension um, extensionalism, I believe, right? Perhaps EXTN extension. Yeah, it's like basically the reason or the thoughts for why we exist, and basically from a psychological or sociological perspective. And a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but I really don't see how you could even argue that one idea has any value, more value over another. Like, you could do that in other philosophical fields much easier than the field of extensionalism. But I feel like extensionalism is like is a black box. How to argue that? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Idea, partner. Oh, what happened there? Okay, we can do it again. Idea, partner. I'll call it. This will be the. This will be the RC and Brando stream. How about that? I like that. I like that. The AB stream. Where do I have room on here? Maybe down here. Here's one thing that I was looking at today. You know, I made some videos about formal logic. Formal logic. And I really can't get over the argument that they say formal logic reduces vagueness. Perhaps but you could also make the argument that vagueness is a necessary component of all argumentation. And without that, and distilling everything down to robotic terms, you lose the thrust of arguments. We're not robots. I understand it's like the hip new thing to couch everything in robotic terms. But humans are not robots. Humans are not robots. The more you try to make people like robots, the more psychologically unhealthy they become. Let's have a new file. So, let's do this. Where is this? Okay, here we go. I need this, and I need that, okay. Robotic living leads to PI and PI, as I said before, psych issues. I think hip no, I do not want that. I want text. I think hip new trends are very very dubious. I think people are stupid. Should always be weary of that. People are susceptible to the lowest common denominator, what I'll call, let's increase the font size. People are susceptible to lowest common denominator, stupid. Lowest common stupidity. People almost need coupling to check their stupidity. That's funny. Texting and being on stream is pretty funny. I think I can communicate information info in a happy as laughing way. Without, this is important. Without miscommunication, you aren't distracted if you aren't miscommunicating. You aren't distracted if you aren't miscommunicating. Let's see. Impossible to be in two places at once. Turns out that this is false. It's only true at large scales. Let's see. What would be awesome is if we ever got cloning technology to work. Could you imagine that? Then you would never die. Assuming you could take your cells and clone a younger person of yourself. People are almost infatuated with information storage space. Although, what people don't understand is that information, especially computerized information, so let's say CI is susceptible to virus, attack. If you have that, then everything you've done is wiped away. And you have nothing. So, people should really take that under advisement. That's akin to DNA damage. DNA damage. Cancer. $355 $1 million loser. Can anyone think of who I am talking about? You know who the biggest winner of the winner of Trump fiasco that would be his daughter, Ivanka Trump, who didn't get in any trouble at all. She's just able to skate away. Good for her. At least one person is smart enough not to get in so much trouble that they can't run. The reason Trump gets in so much trouble, as I said yesterday, is because he sticks his criminality in people's faces and dares them to do anything. But I think everything will right itself. I really do. I saw a poll the other day that said 58% of people think that if Trump is convicted of a crime, he should step aside from the election. And I really don't see how you win the presidency when only your hardcore 40% of people really support you. If you look at it, right? So you have the US population. 40% is MAGA. The rest you could just say something else. You can't win elections when you only get 40%. That something else bracket is bigger than you. I think if Republicans just took 2 seconds to understand basic math, they would probably do better overall in their election desires. Like, politics is not a hard subject. It's really not. I think public policy. Here's an interesting thought. Okay. So we have public policy is much harder. It requires a lot of planning, thought, negotiation. It requires a lot of math. And it requires everything to basically work together. At most, all you can say Trump does, what he specializes in, targeted hate. Okay? Targeted hate is not enough to get you anywhere. Targeted hate does not produce public policy. People will say, Trump has such great ideas, right? He's the ultimate idea man, okay? It's very easy to come up with ideas. I can sit here and talk for 6 hours just about ideas, just like I'm doing right now. That's not hard to do. What's harder to do is take those ideas and put them into plans, okay? Ideas do not equal plans. That's like government 101. There's a typo there, but you understand. I think there's a lot to life that people just don't understand. I think it's a willful misunderstanding. I think for some people that makes life open to hate / pleasure. I think it's really that simple. I think in some psychological way, willful misunderstanding makes you available for hate and pleasure. Let's see how long this has been. This has been 53, almost 54 minutes. Nice. Just a simple discussion. I like these. See, this is not a word cloud. These are like thought bubbles almost. These are various thought bubbles. Yeah. Time zones are very interesting. Let's see. I find it incredibly interesting. Or at least it gives me some happiness for whatever reason. Maybe it shows the scale of the world. But to know that I am in darkness right now, but that my friend halfway across the world is in light, I think that's pretty trippy. Also, what's trippy, I just saw this today. It said that they found evidence of carbon dioxide on one of Jupiter's moons. So if they're finding evidence of organic matter on a moon of a planet. This early, really, in our search for that type of stuff. That's really intriguing, especially because we've had indicators of such things from faraway planets, places, but Jupiter's really not that far away in relative terms. So that's pretty interesting. I was telling my cousin, I said, I wonder if they're gonna find evidence of past microbial life elsewhere in the universe before it's time for us to no longer be here anyway. So that would be probably about 40 years for him. He's probably got about 40 years left to live. So in the 40 remaining years, are we going to find evidence of micro life anywhere outside Earth? I say we probably do, but maybe I'm being too positive. I have high hopes for science, even though some people will claim to essentially never believe anything that scientists ever do, almost like their job is just to sit there and make stuff up, and that there's no consequences if that ever happens, which is not the case. Because eventually, the majority of frauds get caught. You can only fool people for so long. You know, that's also interesting that you can't really display Wikipedia and read a Wikipedia article on stream. Because that also probably means that you can't do what I was thinking of doing a couple of days ago, of showing you some citizen science stuff. There's websites that are dedicated to basically collecting all of these science experiments that are open to the public, in hopes that the public working on these experiments can act as a validation check on the work. And they're somewhat fun to do. Because, let's see, there's room here. Bored people are a valuable. That's not right. Or a valuable resource. That's like the understatement of the internet age. Bored people are a valuable resource. I was looking on Wikipedia earlier today, and one of the most disgusting things I found, just in terms of a kind of intellectual pursuit and how we strip nature of everything, it kind of falls in line with EE, or environmental economics. It's called, if I remember correctly, it's called geologic economics or geology economics, and it's basically trying to put a dollar value on the natural resources, the minerals, the ores that are contained in the earth, so that they could be extracted in the most efficient, effective manner, so that more people like future Elon Musk can, I don't know, strip the earth of its natural resources before they try to mine asteroids. That's another laughable thing to me, is asteroid mining. I think you would lose so many people trying to do that. Do people have any idea how many people would die trying to do that? It's like Elon Musk discussing going to Mars, and I believe somebody asked him about the possibility of people dying doing that, like attempting to do that, and he said something like, well, of course it's going to happen. I'm just not of that mindset. Like, when they had that fire in the capsule in their attempts to try to go to the moon, that almost ended the space program. And that caused the death of 3 people. Now, I'm not saying you should end the space program because of that. But what I am saying is that human life should not come at the expense of whatever stupid scientific idea you think you have, that ultimately just has its roots in trying to enrich yourself as you strip natural resources from either this world or the next. It's just, humanity is so perverse. not even sexually perverse. I would say economically perverse. I find it disgusting. Anyway, so as you can probably tell, you know how I feel about Elon Musk. Let's say I wrote a tweet. I still remember it. So this is the equivalent of that tweet. I said, Elon Musk is less than Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey is a much better human than Elon Musk. That is a non-controversial statement. That's such a simple Twitter post, but it is so true. If we look here at another true statement, Joe Biden is greater than Donald Trump. I do like this. This is a factual statement. This should actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna go there. You know why? Because this is a fun, roaming, free, spirited time. Fun, free roaming, spirited time. Let's see where I am. Okay. Let's start. Is there room here? No, we can start a new one if we want. Feel like I'm erasing the chalkboard. Anyone want to take notes before it's erased? Here's something that is important. Okay. So when you have let's see. No, I don't want that. I want this, and I want a different color. What's a nice color? Let's see. What's a nice color? What do I want? I want definitely not black. Definitely not that. I want We can try that. We can try that. No, I don't like that one. Let's go with another one. Let's go with a lighter one than that. Let's go with this. That's better. When you have a disability, I need to change colors. Nice. When you have a disability and you go to college, okay? I made a video on this. And you take notes. They give you an option to have a note taker. So basically, there's usually, essentially, a couple people that will always take a class and they will act as note takers. These note takers give their notes to a disability center, and the disability center photocopies and distributes these particular notes to all the people with the disability that request these notes. The problem with this is that everyone has a different style of learning. So notes are always different. If you're trying to have an adequate understanding of something from somebody else's notes, especially at the high level of college, even freshman courses, but more specifically like sophomore and up, and you go to a difficult college, like an actually hard college, you're gonna have trouble because your thought processes don't match. They don't match others. The only way to truly learn at that high of a level in an adequate manner so that you can be competitive and actually do well is to suck it up and hope that your memory and intellect allow you to fill in gaps of your own notes. It's unfortunate, but when you have a disability, you're not only battling your disability in college, but you have to understand, nobody's there to save you. Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to. I mean, you can mitigate this by going to an easier college, I suppose. But if you're competitive, you're not going to want to do that. I don't care what anybody says, there are easy system colleges. This is just the way it is. This is not my opinion. This is the way it is, so I apologize if it offends people. But there are easy system colleges, and they're public colleges. Okay? And then there are hard system colleges, and those are the well established private colleges. Now, of course, there are some private colleges which are total scams, but those scam private colleges do not fit the category of being well established. I would always watch a YouTuber who doesn't make videos anymore. He was a very depressive person, but everything he said was true. And he would always discuss this difference that I just articulated a little bit. And he would always say things like, the public schools teach you in order, while the private schools are not interested in that order, and they just teach you why things are, in a way, teaching you how to think. And I've went to private colleges and public colleges, and I can tell you, the private college I went to was so much harder than the, quote, good public college I went to. And just taking the exams, you could see a total difference. So, let's get a different color. So let's see, you have the private college exam, which is basically only interested in problem solving, and articulate, long form thought. Okay? You had no multiple choice tests. Okay? It didn't exist. Public school or public college was about, I don't know, let's try to be as fair as possible. It was about 60% multiple choice and 40% easy idea testing. I don't care what anybody says, how private school people fare against public school people. The two systems are totally different. I don't really think you can argue against that point. And just for clarification, I went to Marist College, got a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science. There's a lot of environmental philosophy that you could talk about, of course, but it all boils down to the same stuff. Stuff that we're not doing. Stuff that society's just like, oh, look at that cool warming temperature. How cool is that? We passed another record. How cool is that? We got record rainfall and record drought, record snowfall, and record cold temperatures. How very interesting. I guess the scientists were right. Although, it doesn't really matter. Because we continue to burn. We continue to burn fossil fuel. We think electric vehicle is savior, but America just cares about the show of Elon and CT Cybertruck. It is interesting though that at least one African country has banned the import of what do they call it? Combustible engines. That would be gasoline. So that's quite interesting. I believe Norway leads the way in electric vehicle adoption. I believe maybe China will pass it in the near future, or they already have. But I believe the thing that I saw was Norway. Also, interestingly enough, well, It's not really that interesting. It's kind of predictable. But I saw the Global Peace Index country rankings for 2023 today, and it had, if you can already guess or already know, it had it keeps switching on me. It had Iceland number 1. GPI Global Peace Index. I wrote that as a Reddit post in Iceland subreddit, and somebody commented and wrote something and said to the effect of, "I'm very dangerous with a spoon," which is pretty funny. If you look at the very opposite end of that list, the least peaceful country. Can anybody guess? Anybody know? Afghanistan. Apparently spelled that wrong. Afghanistan also has the world's biggest, let's increase the font size so people can read it, has the biggest worst deflation in the world. Turns out that having Al Qaeda run your country, it's not good for your economy, and it doesn't make you a peaceful place. Now I understand. You can say that every culture is unique, which is true, but there are certain bedrock principles which represent the world that are undeniable, and economics is a big piece of that, and to some extent a measure of peace or violence is also a good measure of that. I don't know. I just hope that the Middle East can get back to can get back to a time of scholars and prosperity. Because if you look at the long run of human history, the Middle East was pretty much akin to what the US is now in terms of its influence and all the discoveries and advances it's made. So it shows you again that everything is subject to change. Everything is subject to change. Nothing is everlasting. Hopefully at best. Hopefully things are cyclical. But who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody lives long enough to actually know. Because I think at the end of the day, human experience this is not a good color to see, is it? Human experience is incomplete. Let's see what time it is. It's 5 o'clock. Okay. I think because it is past 5 now, that this would be a decent time to end, although that's debatable. So as long as I have some second thought, I'll keep going. See, I told you, idea generation is easy. Idea generation ideas are easy. Philosophy, I would say, philosophy is about limiting ideas, which is hard. It is a really great thing that I do not care that so many people are able to see how bad I am at spelling. Luckily, I don't care. Because if I cared, none of this would be possible. Not caring is key. It's unfortunate that human condition is to care so much. This is one thing I've been reading for the last week or so, maybe the last 2 weeks. The people who, quote, predicted the housing crash and what stocks or companies they're investing in now. I could care less what companies people invest in. They're like, this company's going to be so great, and this one, and this one, and this one. Guess what? Every company thinks they're going to be great, okay? Unless you're running a fraud system where being great isn't your main goal, and your main goal is just trickery. Every company outside of that thinks they're going to be great. And to say that you have some extended knowledge somewhere out there in a mythical world that nobody else knows, which makes you available to make so much money in the future, is just absolutely crazy. So I'll rate this stock stock analysis is mythical nonsense. It's not special. I know Martin Shkreli is a convicted felon, but he's also a very interesting dude. I like watching his YouTube channel and his YouTube streams every now and then. I think they're educational, and he does do stock analysis, but he always tells people that to actually do it correctly and to actually understand things on an intricate level requires so much thought and effort, which is true. That is really true. But even he doesn't know what the future holds. And another thing, it was very interesting what he said when he was defending his drug company and the price hikes. He said ultimately that he could have just stayed as a stock trader, but ultimately wanted to have a bigger, more tangible impact than that. So I will say that not all felons are bad people. I think Martin Shkreli is an interesting, maybe misguided, but I won't even say that. I'll just say Martin Shkreli, interesting, good person. What do you think about crypto? Do you think religion is necessary? I'm investing in China right now because there's a 4-year low. Stocks like sometimes, yeah, I do not know much about stocks. I know the bare minimum, so I'm not going to give advice about that. Crypto, all in the same lines. I know how it works on a theoretical level. I know what they were trying to accomplish there. But as far as its workings in practice, I do not know. All I will say is, I wish when I had graduated college in 2013 that I had invested in Bitcoin, because I wouldn't have to worry about anything right now. I wouldn't need a job, and there would be essentially no worries in life. What was the other one? Do you think religion is necessary? It's not necessary, although I think it gets an unnecessary bad rap, because I think a lot of stupid people use religion as their explanation for complicated things. If you just say something like, I believe in it because God talks to me, or I believe in it because some person wrote about it 2,000 years ago. That's not useful. But what's interesting is, what's very interesting, I had this idea, okay? So, it's actually a question. So, when you go to, let's say, a Catholic Mass on a Sunday or something, do priests spend the week thinking about an interesting theme they want to talk about, and then, knowing the Bible as they do they then search for relevant text to describe that theme? Is that how a Mass works? Because if that's how a Mass works, that's probably useful in a very kind of simplistic way. At least useful for certain people. Certain people that want to have like a preacher and don't necessarily want to read themselves, but just kind of want to be taught some nice, good-natured information. I think it's useful in that respect. I don't know much about China. The only thing I know about China, really, is that if the United States is really truly so worried about China, then the only way for the United States to actually, I guess, compare with China is to have more people in our population. So maybe we shouldn't be so harsh against the people escaping their really economically strapped lives, trying to come to America and have a better life. Because ultimately, a small population, however advanced, cannot face down a giant population for very long. So maybe we should be nicer to the people from Central and South America. I don't know. Just a thought. But yeah, I don't know much about China and I don't know much about crypto. I know more about religion. Not necessarily the different religions, but I know the driving forces behind religion, and I understand psychology and sociology. So that helps. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go at 5:30, which would be 6 minutes from now. I like your, I like your username, Logic Lab. That's a cool username. What's your profile picture of? I can't really see. It looks like. It looks like. Is that a spider? It looks cool. I can't really tell what it is. I have one subscriber. He's got a really cool. He's got a really cool profile picture. It's like a model. It's a model of the sun and the planets. Octopus Space Overlord. Huh, that's more interesting than a spider. That's cool. I have a question for you. What do you think of my how should I say? What do you think of my thoughts presented in artistic font? Do you think it's eye-catchy? I think it is. I think when you overlay all the words together, you can still understand what they mean and it has artistic flair. I don't know. Yeah. Idea Web. It's I, it's better than those gigantic word clouds that they do now, which has gained so much popularity. That's a nice idea, but just because you can think of words doesn't mean that you should just have them all there and spread out in a million different words. It doesn't make much sense. I think what I do makes much more sense. It's not as cluttered. So, things are much more readable. What country are you from? South Africa? That's cool. I saw a map of countries worldwide that recognize same-sex marriage. I think it was either recognize or just legally accept. I don't know if they're the same things. But essentially, every country in Africa, aside from South Africa, doesn't recognize same-sex marriage. So it's cool that there's one country on the continent that does. Yeah, yeah, that's nice. What time is it there? $12:30. Oh, okay. So you're like 12:30 a.m. Oh wow. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Not so far off. That's cool to know. I'm always interested in that. The more global perspective you can get, the better. That's why I find, like I said earlier in the live stream, I don't know if you were here or not, probably not. My international viewership is always more interesting than the American viewership. My viewership is predominantly American, and then second is Indian, and it drops off from there. But I do have South African viewership. It is now 5:30. I think. Yeah, I'll stay, as long as long as long as we continue talking. If you want, I'll stay. If not, I'll go. This is just like some like easy thing that I do after I nap when I can't sleep after that. It's a nice way to get new viewers, and it's pretty chill. It's not nearly as hard as making videos. So it's pretty chill for me. Oh, you know what? This is interesting. I was reading the rest of your comment. NVDA is Nvidia, right? I remember years ago when I was looking at stocks and trying to find the best performers using my stupid metrics that I was using. Just like easy rudimentary metrics that I just had in my head, and just scanning all the different stocks from the S&P 500. Nvidia, years ago, like 4 years ago, so this must have been the start of their rise, was like the best performing stock out of all of them. And if I had money, substantial enough anyway, that would have been the company to invest in. I have no idea about now. Yeah, okay. Alright, I'm gonna go too. Enjoy your day. Buying it back then is like buying. Yeah, that's true. Alright. Have a good day. And I think that's gonna be the end, because there's other stuff I want to do, and it's been almost 2 hours. 1 hour 55 minutes of chill time. So I'll give you one more view of my artistic thoughts. Take mental notes. And I'm gonna go. Have a nice day.